Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had free agency and also have started up the season simulation. So far, we're 14-6 and 7-3 in our last 10 games, so it's been a pretty interesting season to start off these first 20 games. Actually, pretty consistent, I guess, because technically our first 10 we must have been 7-3 as well. So, a little bit of consistency, some underlining problems, some good stuff so far with this team. As you can see, we're a good offensive team and a good penalty kill team. However, goals against and power play percentage are not the best. Obviously, I'm expecting it to improve in this episode because we do still have a pretty good roster on paper. But obviously, we went through a lot of changes this offseason, so it's going to take a bit for this team to get going again. I did make some line changes at the end of the last episode to basically try and readdress some things. Like, for instance, Ragnarsson wasn't doing super well. He only had 2 goals in 20 games, so we moved him to the top line and moved Giordano down to the second line center. And then Ashton's now third line center. We're like getting guys more ice time that they deserve, which is good. So guys like Kazanov, Mishenko, Bigris, and all that should be a little bit more happy. Also, Dempsey getting third line time is nice. He was actually scoring pretty well, 6 goals in 20 games. So he was actually outscoring Ragnarsson. So I think it's good that he gets a little bit more ice time. And then from a defensive standpoint, our defensive core, obviously right now we do still have a little bit of an injury to Olli Houghton, who is on the decline, which is unfortunate. Hopefully once he comes back, he can drive our offense a little bit better. But still, this team is looking pretty nice, and I expect us to hopefully have a good run ahead again at this postseason if we get there. So there is that. Also, there was no comments in last episode, so I don't really have anything to go off of what you guys think. So we probably will, in this episode, we'll probably either simulate to the trade deadline, or we might simulate the rest of the season. Really depends on how this team does and all that. But really not too sure what to expect from the team going forward. I feel like we are going to get better in terms of goals against and power play percentage, but if those stay where they are, maybe that's a good thing for us because we don't really want to be really good in every single area because that usually means early exits. So hopefully by having kind of some more mid stats, our team could have a better playoff run ahead. So let's actually go here and take a look at some stuff here. Just make sure we have everybody in a spot we want to, because I'm pretty sure moving Ragnarsson to that top line should hopefully get him going a little bit more. Moving Giordano to the second line center kind of sucks because he has been fantastic so far with 19 points in 20 games, but since he plays center, moving Ashton down to third line center, it just makes us stronger down the middle, and our wingers get a bigger chance. Like, basically, Mishenko was listed as a second line forward. He was only playing on the third line, so he was maybe losing a little bit of morale. Dempsey was playing like fourth line. Nielsen's still playing fourth line, which is not ideal. He is listed as a depth forward, but he is a sniper, and he only has 1 goal in 20 games, so kind of hoping the depth scoring maybe improves a little bit. That's definitely an area we could address, is maybe we could look to move somebody on the wingers if we want to get Nielsen some more ice time, but right now I don't think it's a huge issue. And then defensively, we should start simulating a lot better. Lindsay's been solid so far defensively, not doing much too offensively. Jang's been okay defensively. And then if we go to our second pairing, Holmstrom's been really good so far this season, 13 points in 20 games. Carlton's on only 3 points, but at least he's been good defensively. Schaefer's on really good point totals, 14 points so far from him. And then Barker's only played 8 games, but he's got 3 points, which is good. But like I was mentioning, Houghton coming back from injury, he has dropped off. He's only got 5 points in 10 games so far, so hopefully he gets his offense going a little bit when he comes back to our lineup, but he is likely going to be starting his decline here quite a bit in terms of point production, considering his potential dropped off. So a little bit worried about that, but hopefully we could get him a Stanley Cup before he retires, because if we can't, it would kind of suck, because we've had so many opportunities to get to a Cup Finals, but we just haven't done that with this roster. So all those offseason moves we made in the last episode and stuff like that, hopefully those actually work out in our favor a little bit. But with that said, I think we're ready to get into simulating some more, see how if this team can improve a bit defensively and also on the power play. If not, it's not the end of the world, but as long as we keep winning games, that'll be nice. So let's continue to simulate a little bit. Let's go 1 month at a time. And like I said, I don't know if I'll simulate the rest of the season in this episode. Really just depends on, I guess, how the team's doing. But it would be good to kind of get through the seasons kind of quick since the series is kind of getting close to an end. Also, I still need some opinions on what we should do once the series ends. If you guys have any thoughts on like what we could do as a series. I was thinking of maybe doing some sort of like another Draft to Glory challenge, maybe like a Nations United with like Germany or some random country or something like that. So if you guys have any interest in that, let me know. But we could always do some other stuff. I would like to try maybe doing some other games eventually on this channel, but not too sure exactly how the interest will be for that, because NHL definitely seems like it's dying down. Like my views have gone down a little bit. So if you guys have anything that might pique your interest, let me know. But with that said, let's go through December, see what we do in this month, see if we could start winning some games. As Houghton's already back. As Biggers is losing morale because of ice time, but he's on the second line. Is he on the power play? I got to double check on that. I'm pretty sure he is, but let me just get Houghton back in here on the defensive core, so that's good to go. So Biggers was losing morale. Let's take a look at the power plays. So he's not on the first unit. He is on the second unit. He should be okay with his ice time. There's no way why he shouldn't be okay with his ice time. Like, he's literally getting 16 minutes a game. I'm not going to make any changes with that. Let's see what we got here. Anyways, trade offer. We sent our top 6-4 prospect House for a third and a fourth. Not really worth it in my opinion. Let me stop the sim because I can't see what's happening. As we just lost 3 straight games to start off this episode. So that's not ideal whatsoever. Not ideal whatsoever. That's not what I was expecting, especially with Houghton returning. So, that's not good. We are still good in goals for, but the goals against per game is really bad. Like, these young goaltenders might be a little bit of an issue. The penalty kill has also dropped off to 24. So our penalty kill is all of a sudden starting to do bad too, which is not ideal. 14-9. Where are we in the standings right now? We are in a wild card spot. I feel like being a wild card team might be good for this team, just because it gives us a higher chance to go farther in the playoffs. But there's definitely some sort of issues after those line adjustments. I'm trying to think what we could do. Let's go with Biggers on the left side. We'll move Mishenko back down to the third line with Kazanov and Ashton, and then Dempsey could play on that top 6 maybe. I honestly don't really know. We got to find something that works, but it's definitely our goaltending that's probably hurting us a bit, but it's not the weakest goaltending in the world. Like, these two guys are young goalies. Right now, Nicholas has been pretty bad. Komatov's definitely been the better of the two, but definitely that shouldn't be hurting us as much as you would think it would. So, let's continue to simulate. We should start finding some wins here. I know it's a losing streak, but it should end relatively soon. If we lose a lot of games in a row, I'm not too sure exactly what we need to do. Maybe we need to make a coaching adjustment, something like that, but let's keep it going. No, we are not trading any of our top 6-4 prospects for a third and a fourth round pick. There's 4 straight losses to start off this episode after his line adjustments. God damn. But we do beat the Oilers 4-0. We lose in a shootout to the Ducks. Calgary is a win. Okay, now we're starting to get some points back again. And now, of course, after I said that, we lost to the Kings. And Biggers has now been injured with an injured knee. He's only out till the 24th, so let's go replace player on that. But this team is definitely a little bit more inconsistent this year. Savage gets injured in the first game he comes back from being a scratch. That's actually kind of insane. Let's go replace player again. We shut out the Florida Panthers, all right. And we beat them there as well. Biggers is back. So we're starting to win some games again. That's nice to see. Gaudette was in the lineup. How was Gaudette actually when he was playing? 1 game, no goals. Okay, that's fine. I expect him to do decently when he's actually in the lineup, though, because he's a decent scorer for a depth forward. So, game against Buffalo is going to be, oh my goodness, an injury to the young goaltender, Esteban Nicholas. He'll be out with a strained hamstring out till January the 19th. So, we are going to have to call up a goalie from the AHL, which means it's going to be Komatov's starting job for now. Vishnevsky still doesn't go through waivers, so we'll call him up and give him an opportunity. Since he doesn't have much potential, might as well give him a chance at the NHL level while we have this injury. But this is a kind of a big blow, but Nicholas hasn't been playing the best either, so maybe this is actually a good thing for our team. But obviously when we're trying to make the playoffs, we don't really want to be running the 73s or backup. So they signed us this guy named Laxinen, who is a guy that was drafted by the Canucks. Damn, that's not actually a bad signing by the AI to pick up as a depth option. I like it. I'll take it. Game against Buffalo is a win. Dallas is a win as well. Utah is a win too, and New Jersey is a win too. So despite the bad start to this episode where we lost 4 straight games, we are now on a heater. We have won a total of 7 games in a row going into January, which is pretty damn good considering Nicholas just got hurt. So the team is finding itself. We're only 1 point back of second place in the Metro, and we're only 1 point up on the wild card as well. So it's pretty tight, this division, except for the Blue Jackets. But like I said, if we end up finishing as a wild card team, we might end up going far in the playoffs regardless. So liking the way this team is simulating now all of a sudden. Let's keep the team the same for now. Let me take a look at the team percentages and see if we're improving on anything right now. We're 7th in goals for. Goals against improved drastically in the last little bit, I think. We're now 8th in goals against. We're 6th on the power play, or not 6th on the power play, 6th on the penalty kill, 19th on the power play. So the power play continues to be an issue, but it looks like our defensive play is starting to come around, especially as of late. So I think it's definitely because of this winning streak, because 1 goal against there, a shutout, 2 goals against, 1 goal against, 1 goal against, 2 goals against, and 2 goals against. So definitely starting to find that defensive game, which is very, very nice. So let's continue to simulate. We'll go to the end of January, and hopefully we can get back to fully healthy. Obviously, Nicholas wasn't playing good when he was here, but still, I would like to have him back. So, who was the one that was injured? Trying to remember who was injured. Yes, oh yeah, Savage was replacing somebody else. That's the one thing I'm still worried about, is getting Brad Savage some ice time, because he's going to start complaining soon. So he's maybe one guy we look to still trade, potentially as the season goes on, just because I don't think there's any way I could slot him in at the moment. So anyways, game against the Boston Bruins. 4-3 wins, so we are now on an 8-game winning streak. Carolina wants a top 4 defensive prospect of ours for a 3rd and a 4th. No, thank you. Literally a 3rd and a 4th is useless to me. There's another win. God damn, this team is cooking like crazy all of a sudden, which is fantastic to see, but it also means we might be a first-round exit because of it. There's a shootout loss, so there's our first loss in a while, but we still haven't had a game without a point in quite some time. So Nicholas is back, which is good. We'll send Vishnevsky to the AHL. Watch Vishnevsky have really good goalie stats or something like that. Let's see. In the NHL, he only played 1 game. He did win his first career start, so that's good at least, but he did not play very good in that 1 game. 4 goals against on 29 shots, but he did get a win. Who was it against, just for some extra fun stuff? It was against the Dallas Stars, so he beat Anton Frondel. So shout out to Vishnevsky. We'll send him back down to the AHL. Hopefully Nicholas can stay healthy here, because obviously if we lose him to injury again, it would kind of suck. But our team has been actually doing really well without Nicholas in the lineup, so maybe Komatov needs to be that guy, because he has been obviously the better of the 2 goalies, I think, so far this season. So we do beat the Ottawa Senators. What about Philadelphia? As Nicholas should be fully healthy now, he is perfect. That's good, because I didn't want him to get re-injured. We do lose to Philadelphia, so that's our first regulation loss in probably a month or so. As we beat Washington in a shootout, Carolina's a shootout loss. It's still a point. Toronto's a regulation loss, but we're already on 30 wins. Vegas is an OT loss. It's still a point. We got 10 goals on the Penguins, and now we're being offered a trade, which is kind of funny to see. San Jose is wanting to give us Solovyov back, who we obviously have had for his entire career. A 3rd-round pick, a defenseman named Vico, and a forward named Hines for goalie prospect Bergenheim, forward prospect Koivunen, and a 2nd-round pick. I'm not going to make that deal, but it's kind of interesting. It would be nice to have Solovyov back maybe, because Nicholas hasn't been the best, but at the same time, I want Solovyov to have a chance to play somewhere else, just in case our team doesn't do well. But we scored 10 goals on the Penguins. That's kind of insane. And we gave up 6. But our team is cruising. We are 33-13-4 now, headed into February. This team has been really good. Like, we've been getting extra frame points, at least 2. As Utah has fired their head coach, Amari Barney. Shout out to Amari Barney. All right, we're only a point back now of the Blue Jackets for first place in the Metro. Same amount of games played. We're looking pretty damn good at this point. We're 8 points up on a wild card as well. So that's looking nice. If we were in the Atlantic Division, we'd literally be first place. Same with the Central Division. The Central Division is actually quite weak at the moment. Like, the best team is the Stars, who are on 65 points. Wild card in the Central's 55 points. That's kind of insane, considering the wild card in our division's 62. And actually, the wild card's on 53 as well, technically, in the Pacific. So the Western Conference is definitely not as strong as the East at this point in time. All right. Well, let's see our team stats here quickly again. See what's improving, if our goals against and all that stuff is still getting better. So we are currently 5th in goals for, 3rd on goals against. So our goals against has gotten so much better, which is really good to see. Power play is still not the best, but it is improving a little bit, I guess. And our penalty kill is still 7th. So stats are looking pretty good aside from the power play. So that is not too bad whatsoever. Makinen's on 57 points now to lead the team. And Komatov is rocking a 910 save percentage at the moment. So the young goaltenders are doing it well. I don't know how Nicholas is doing since he's returned, but Komatov definitely did really good when Nicholas was out. All right, let's continue to simulate. We honestly might simulate the rest of the season in this episode at this rate. Like, we're kind of flying through these months relatively quick, but the team has been doing really well. And I have no issues so far. And I think maybe going in with a bit of a weaker team than past years might give us an upgrade a little bit. We do lose to the Sens. We do lose to New Jersey. So we are going to start off this month on a little bit of a losing streak. But we do beat Carolina. And Washington has fired their head coach, Andre Skula. So that's kind of interesting because Seal Fido signed with the Capitals. So wonder how Washington's doing at the moment. We shut out the New York Rangers. Nice to see that. As St. Louis has fired their head coach, Warren Wyman. So shout out to him. Seattle, we beat 5-2. Nice. We're not going to make a trade like that. Detroit is a 2-1 victory. Yeah, we're definitely finding some very good strength defensively here as of late. 4-3 loss to Buffalo. That's all right. St. Louis is a 4-3 OT loss. And Cole Ashton has been injured with a strained hamstring. He's out till the 7th. It's not super long term. Let's go replace player on that. And Russell was never injured, I don't think. Was Russell injured? I don't think he was. I'm going to go continue on that. As we just beat Solovyov in the Sharks, if he is still there. All right. So 38, 16, and 5 headed into March. This team is definitely on a really good path. Now, if we win the President's Trophy and we become a first-round exit again, I'm going to be kind of pissed or something like that. We are getting offered a goalie in Peterson for a 2nd and a 3rd. We don't really need that. As nice as it would be to have another goalie, just in case, I'm not going to do that deal. But 38, 16, and 5, we are 3rd place now in the Metro. We are only 1 point back, and we do have at least 1 to 2 games in hand. The Penguins are above us, which is surprising because we've scored 10 goals on them earlier this season. So we might be the best team technically in the league almost at this point. Because definitely, like, our division has technically 3 of the top 5 teams in the NHL right now. So that's kind of interesting. We might be technically the best on points percentage. Let's go to a day before the deadline. We'll take a look at some stats and see if we need to make any improvements or anything. But this team's looking good. We're almost on 40 wins, but we do not get 40 wins before the deadline. We're 39, 18, and 5, which has us in 2nd place, only behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. All right, let's take a look at some updated stats and see if there's anything that needs to be improved. And we'll also look at our lines again, see if anybody's improving. But 9th in goals for, so our offense is falling maybe off a little bit, but we're still 3rd in goals against. So like I said, our defensive play has gotten much better. Our 4th on the penalty kill as well, so those have been working well. Our power play is 22nd, so that might be part of why our offense is only 9th. So our power play could probably improve a bit, but I mean, some of that could be just line adjustments and all that. But let's take a look and see if anybody's getting some growth on this lineup setup that we currently have. So it looks like our top line's still looking pretty much the same. Dempsey hasn't jumped up at all, which is kind of surprising. Savage was playing 3rd line center, so I guess technically Ashton's back. Yeah, he's not fully healthy, but he will be back in the lineup, which is good. Russell, 78. Yeah, it looks like nobody's getting any crazy growth here. And Houghton's continuing to be an 88 at least throughout the rest of the season. Lindsay might have jumped up to a 78. And then goalies, Nicholas and Komatov are both still the same overall. Looks good. Looks good. So we'll go with that. How about the AHL? Any good progression down there? Popov's up to a 79. Popov probably should be in the NHL. Same with Hilbert. But I might wait till next season to play those guys or playoffs. Trotter's a 78. He's probably close. Yes, there's definitely some prospects that are getting close to making it, which is kind of nice to see. All right. Trying to think if there's anything realistically that I would upgrade. Like I said, our power play hasn't been great, but it doesn't need to be fantastic. I really like the looks of this first unit still. The second unit, not as crazy in chemistry, but it's kind of an underrated looking unit in my opinion. It probably doesn't simulate the best, but I think we're not going to make much trades if we do. I'm going to look at the trade block just in case, but I think we might maintain this roster and simulate the rest of the season in this episode. Because we're at that stage where we might as well. Makinen's on 62 points so far, and that's in 62 games, is it? Yeah, we've played 62 games. Makinen's leading with 62 points, all right. Let's take a look at the trading block and just see what's out there in case there's anything interesting, but I don't think we're going to make any moves. I just don't think so. I was debating about it because we could technically upgrade like our bottom 6 if we really want to a bit, but we could always just keep it the same. Sometimes maintenance is a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing to do, so hopefully we make the right call with whatever we decide to do here. Shirokov, no. Wait, how good is Kavanaugh? 79, 284, 35 years old. That's not a bad bottom 6 option. He's actually got 22 points this season as well. Like, he can produce, but he is 35 years old. Very good defensive awareness. 5-star defensive player because of his defensive awareness. Does fit the first line, but we don't know about the bottom 6. I don't think he's really kind of what I need. He's kind of similar to what we brought in last year with Shen, but he's probably on the decline. So far, not really seeing much. A lot of prospects, and we're not really trying to go for prospects at the moment. Shirokov, offensive defenseman, don't need that. Detroit, not really anything there. Edmonton, Jarrett as a sniper, pretty much have that type of stuff already. Yeah, I think maintenance is probably what I'm leaning towards. Damn, an elite prospect for Florida's on the block. If we were rebuilding, that would be definitely something to look into, but we're not. But yeah, this team definitely, to me, has proven that they're better defensively than they used to be. So I think upgrading anything defensively is not what we need. Offensively, could we look for a good player for the power play? Probably, but then people are going to lose morale due to ice time. And we could try and upgrade stuff like Biggers, for instance, if we really wanted. But I'd prefer to kind of like let those guys play out the last bit of their time with us before they head to free agency. Because I'm kind of attached to them a little bit. Kerslig is a sniper. I mean, he's not bad, but we do already have a third-line center. Let's see. Anybody else? It's mostly just a lot of prospects on the block. Lehman as an 86, 26-year-old right-wing playmaker in San Jose. Listed as a first-line forward. Wow. He would be a pending UFA, so I don't think it makes much sense. He doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, but I don't even know where San Jose is in the standings, but that's an interesting player. He's basically like what Seal Fido was like, but a little bit worse. Fits our power play lines. And then Solovyov got thrown on the block by the Sharks. How has he been in San Jose so far at this point? He's got 5 shutouts in San Jose, but a .500 record because the Sharks aren't as good as us. But he's got his best save percentage since, I guess, technically 2040. But he's looking okay there. So shout out to Solovyov. I don't know if he's going to get dealt at the deadline, but shout out to him. At least he's out enjoying some time in California a little bit. Rolson's making too much money and too much term. Don't want him. Urquhart, And Kristanovich is a backup goalie. Lehman's kind of interesting, but I don't know what the cost would be for him. Because he could get into our top 6, and then we can move Dempsey down. If we were to upgrade Biggerson into somebody, we could upgrade him into Lehman. But would it be the right call? Like I said, he's a penny free agent. 45 points this year. Last 2 years, 68 points. He had a playoff set. He was point per game in as well. He's a pretty good player. I'll come back to him and see if maybe there's a deal we could have with him, but damn, that's a kind of interesting one. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to re-sign him, so he'd be kind of probably a purely a rental, but tough to say. I guess San Jose doesn't think they're going to make the playoffs, so they're trying to offload some stuff while they can. Not seeing really much else, so that might be the only option we'd look into if we want to actually make anything happen this year. So let's go to San Jose, and let's go find trade just with our current block setup and see what they'd want for him. But we also need to think of where he would slot in if we do trade for him. So let's see. Koivunen and Jang in a 5th. A 2nd to Lindsay in a 3rd. Lindsay a 3rd and a 4th. Abney a 3rd and a 6th round pick would work well for me. And Howe's a 3rd and a 6th. Yeah, I could definitely do one of these two deals here, I think. Because we don't necessarily need all of our forward prospects. So I'm going to come back to those, but let me see where Layman would slot in and if he would actually make sense for our team or not. So he's a right-wing playmaker. Right wing is kind of weak for us. If we move on from Bigris, it might work. Yeah, it might work. The second line technically would have a sniper. I do like that Bigris could play both sides, though. But Bigris is on 29 points, 15 goals. We have down the middle, Giordano. He's on 50 points. God damn, man. He's doing good. And we have Dempsey on 19 goals and 29 points. So Dempsey and Bigris aren't doing the craziest. I could also upgrade Mishenko into him, hypothetically, instead of Bigris. Mishenko's got 35 points so far. He's been actually really solid. But is he going to get much crazier? He's literally listed as a second liner as an 82, which is kind of insane. Bigris is a pending UFA, though. And Mishenko is a signed for a while still? Yeah, 3-year deal. But Mishenko's a playmaker, right? Yeah. Left-wing playmaker. But I don't know if I want Bigris to stay on that second line. 29 points. How's Kazanov done on that third line? Kazanov's outperforming Bigris. So if I was to keep Dempsey on the second line, I'd have him on the right side. The other guy's a right winger too, but we also have Ragnarsson, who is a left wing, right wing. Ragnarsson, since being put on the top line, has been much, much better too. He isn't scoring a lot of goals still, but he's doing much better up there. If I went Ragnarsson on the second line with Dempsey and Giordano and then brought in that other guy to play on the top line, I'd probably prefer that other guy to play playing on the same line as Dempsey. We'd have 2 snipers and a playmaker that way. Bigris is a power forward. So if we are to make a deal with for Layman, Bigris needs to be probably moved out, or Mishenko. And like I said, Bigris is a pending UFA. There's a good chance we probably lose him this offseason. Like, how much is he demanding right now in terms of a contract extension? Like, is he demanding too much or the right amount? Let's see, where are you? Bigris, there you are. He was making 4.4. He wants $6 million. $6 million, okay. That's not the worst. How much is that guy in San Jose making? Trying to think if we want to put all these chips in this year or not. Layman is making under that. Layman's definitely due for a big contract upgrade. If I was to make a deal with the Sharks, Layman, do they like Bigris at all, out of curiosity? They do not. But Bigris, we could still give them some other stuff as well. What picks do we got this year again? We have Flames first round pick this year. I forgot about that. 2 second rounders. I could definitely give up probably our own second round pick this year. And maybe something else on top of this. Do they have any prospects that they're interested in that I don't need? They did have interest in Koivunen and stuff like that, but they got too much value. Second rounder. What if I add like a fifth rounder for next year as well? That might work. I'm just trying to think of realistically if this is something that makes sense for our team. I feel like it does. Both of them are pending free agents. We do bring in a guy that has a little bit of a higher cap hit, but he's a much better offensive player right now than Bigris. Like, he's got literally 45 points, 14 goals, 31 assists. Bigris right now has 15 goals, 14 assists. So he only has one more less goal than Bigris, but he has way more assists. The only thing is he doesn't play left wing, right wing, but that's all right. Bigris has been pretty good in the takeaway departments. I really like Bigris' playoff performances in times. But this other guy might be a really good playoff performer too, because he's only got a little bit of playoff experience. Our right wing side is kind of weak right now. Like, Dempsey's not really suited for a top 6 role, but he's been producing. So if we put him next to a really good playmaker like Lehman, that could help us. Yeah, you know what? I think we're going to pull off this deal. I do not, like I said, really want to move on from Bigris, but I think Lehman's too hard to pass up on. And I think he could definitely bring some offense. That's definitely been our problem right now, is our goal scoring, not our defensive play. And it's also been our power play. So if Lehman gets onto our power play, he also plays on our second line. That should hypothetically make our offense better for the rest of the season. So I think we're going to offer this deal to San Jose. Like I said, I don't really want to send away Bigris, but it's either him or Mashenko. Bigris is a pending free agent. There's no guarantees he would re-sign. Same goes with Lehman, bringing him in too. He's going to probably cost even more money, but we'll cross that bridge when we get it. Like, we could definitely free up cap space to re-sign Lehman if we want, but I think we're going to make this deal. So, Bigris, good luck in San Jose, and enjoy playing with Solovyov again, unless he gets dealt, but I think this is our move that we're going to make this year. And I wasn't planning to make a move, but I think this is one that kind of is a bit of a no-brainer, so best of luck to Bigris in San Jose. That's accepted. There we go. So Bigris is gone. It kind of sucks. A lot of people are losing morale because he's a quality player apparently, but Lehman joins the team. We'll see if Lehman could help us do well. So Lehman will be joining us. We are a little bit weak on the right side, so I do like having an actual right winger on this team, not just a guy that's left wing, right wing. But now that will be very interesting, because we are going to just throw Lehman probably right into that exact spot and keep him in that exact spot, because he should be able to set up like guys like Dempsey quite well. And how does he fit this line? Not the craziest fit for this team. He's a better fit for the third line, but we are still going to lose him, put him up here, and we'll see what he could do. So I think that's our only adjustment we're gonna make. We could always trade Savage if we want to for an actual depth forward, but I'm gonna hold on to him. I think at least till the end of the season. I think we could always scratch Russell technically, I guess. At this point, yeah, you know what? I think we'll actually do that. Russell's gonna get scratched again. I do like Russell as a defensive player, but let's get Savage in there for a little bit more grit on that fourth line. And then the rest of that will stay the same. So now you have a bunch of guys that are actually listed as depth. Barker's now listed as a top 6. Of course he is. But it's okay if he loses a bit of morale. Alright, so we'll see how Lehman fits this team. I think that was a good little move. How long will San Jose hold on to Biggers for? I'm not too sure. But that's going to be our main trade and only trade we're going to make in this episode. And I think it was a good one. Obviously, we can see how good it was once we get to the end of the season, but let's go past the trade deadline. Take a look at any AI trades that happened at the deadline, just in case Solovyov got dealt from San Jose again or something like that. But let's see what we got in terms of deadline deals for 2043. As Roy Chiodo is on waivers. Don't think I need a depth defenseman. No, thank you. Decline. No blockbuster trades this year. All right. Let's take a look at what trades went down, though. See if Solovyov got dealt again, if Bigris got dealt right after we dealt him to San Jose. So, in terms of players getting dealt that I recognize, not really anybody so far. No former players involved. Just looking for somebody. There's Zane Parekh going to Montreal. Any guys that I remember? Not really. Maybe Jarrett, I recognize. He going to Calgary. Yeah, I'm not seeing any former players so far. Hugo Shigera, I think I remember him in Tampa. What else we got here? Artem Chubarov. Anything else? Oh, former defensive prospect Salo, the one that we traded for Makinen, basically. He got dealt to Carolina. Interesting. Anything else? Craig Cassidy got dealt to Minnesota. I almost forgot about him, but he's still kicking at this point in time. Shout out to Yerky Curry. What a name. Anybody else? Kaminsky might have been with us at one point. He's in Florida now. And there's our trade. Yeah, no big blockbusters. So Solovyov will stay the rest of the season in San Jose. Same with Bigris. If you guys want to know where Bigris slots into the lineup for the Sharks, let's take a look at their lines. But I think it was a good little flip-flop for our team. Bigris is basically exactly probably where Lehman was. He's getting to play on that second line. So we'll see what he ends up doing as a Shark. He has played one game so far, and he scored a goal in that game, so that's kind of funny. Who did he score against? I didn't expect him to already have a game with San Jose. He scored against the St. Louis Blues. All right. So shout out to Bigris, scoring in his first game. I feel like this addition might pay off more so in the playoffs for us than the regular season, but we'll see. Bigris is probably one of the tougher ones to trade away just because, like I've mentioned before, he's had some really big playoff goals like the last few years. But Lehman could set up guys like Dempsey and get that offense from where it is now to being much better. Like currently, before we actually simulate any games with that Lehman trade, you can see we are where in goals for. We are 9th in goals for. So we'll see if that improves whatsoever with Lehman involved or if it gets worse. But let's get the rest of the season simulated now. So let's go to the 15th, take it a little bit slow. But yeah, we're definitely going to be a playoff team, which is awesome to see. But obviously the question is, as it is every single year, are we going to get knocked out by a Canadian team or are we going to actually get to a cup finals this year? Because we've had some really bad luck the last 5 seasons. So eventually at some stage you'd think it would flip, but maybe not. We just beat the Flyers 8-5, goddamn. So that offense is definitely looking pretty good since Lehman has jumped in too. But it has improved a bit as this episode's gone on. Back and forth, I guess, a bit. There's a win over Washington. 7-2 win over Washington. Nice offensive performances there. We lose to Montreal in the shootout. Carolina is going to be a 4-3 win. And Tampa's a 5-3 win. Nice. So we're on 47 wins before April. We've probably clinched a playoff spot. Yes, we have. That's good to see. We also might be very close to clinching this division, but it is still a tight race. We could still fall back hypothetically to a wild card spot, which is kind of crazy. But let's go through 3 games at a time. Seattle on the road. 4-1 win. Edmonton, 7-2 win. Another good offensive performance. Vancouver is a 7-4 win. Nice. Back-to-back 7-goal games. Love to see it. So we're now on 50 wins on the season. Let's go through another 3 games. Toronto, LA, and Boston. Toronto, 4-1 victory. Nice. LA, 4-1 victory. A lot of 4-1 victories as of late. And Boston, as Jang has been injured till April 25th, which means we're going to have to go replace player. He is going to miss some playoff time, which kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. At least he's not a huge defender for us. We just beat Boston 6-4. Damn, we're on 53 wins. There's a chance we might have the President's Trophy. Yeah, we might end up winning the President's Trophy this year. Not great, but maybe it's good. I don't know. There's another 4-1 victory as Pastrnak, as in Patrick Pastrnak. The Oilers head coach gets fired. And we go into the playoffs on a huge winning streak of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games. I do not feel safe about that. I feel like we could get swept because of that, but we do finish the season 55, 21-6, which is pretty good, and we have won the President's Trophy. Will it be a curse for us this season, or can we win the Stanley Cup and the President's Trophy in the same season? Because we've now had 5 straight conference finals exits, and now we just won a President's Trophy, which does that mean benefit? Is it a bad thing? Will be interesting to find out, but goddamn. Let's go to this, and we are going to hide a bunch of stuff so you guys can't see any of the player stats, and I can't see any team stats. I know how to scroll through this, so that's at least good, because we want to be surprised on a bunch of stuff here. So let's take a look at some team stats here. Let's go to entire league. So we won the President's Trophy by 7 points, probably because of that crazy win streak near the end of the season, but we beat out the Blue Jackets and the Penguins. A lot of good Eastern Conference teams. The best Western Conference team was 7th place in the entire league. So the Western Conference definitely not as strong as the East. Goals for per game, we were the best offensive team in the league. Well, that's really good to see. Maybe that Layman edition helped that thing out quite a bit. But the best offensive team in the NHL. Goals against, we were the second best defensive team. So we figured out our offense. We went from 9th to second best our first best offensive team in the league. So yeah, Layman definitely helped us a lot there. Our defensive play still stayed just as good. We were 1 goal away from being the best defensive team with 2 young goaltenders. So despite losing Solovyov, we're still good defensively. Power play percentage. Our power play was kind of mid. 16.7%. So that's one thing that definitely could use some work. I don't know if it'll get better in the playoffs or not, but or at least good at scoring 5-on-5. And then in terms of our penalty kill, we finished as another mid-table team. So our special teams could use some work. 5-on-5 is fantastic, though. This season, we scored 12 shorthanded goals, which was tied for the second most in the league. The Sharks went on to finish one of the worst teams in the NHL with Solovyov and Bigris. I feel bad for those guys, but hopefully they find a team that actually will do good. Because I was expecting the Sharks maybe to do better if they signed Solovyov, but they didn't. We were 27-11-3 on home ice, 28-10-3 on the road. 10-0 in our last 10 games. I do not feel safe about going 10-0 into the playoffs, but there we are. Team leader in points was Mäkinen with only 87 points, so we have probably some fantastic depth scoring to look at. So let's once again go like this, and let me close my eyes here. I know how to change positions and all that stuff, so we're going to quickly change positions, and I'm not going to be able to see anything in terms of point leaders, and boom. So, yeah, Mäkinen, 87 points in 82 games, plus 36. Another good year for Mäkinen. He is a pending UFA, so is this his last year here? Probably not, as long as I can re-sign him, but he is definitely one of those players that we will be looking to this postseason. Hopefully he could stay healthy the entire playoffs. Giordano on 70 points. Good year for Giordano. I think he's also a pending free agent, correct? Yeah, he is. So both these guys are going to be looking for some money this offseason, so we'll see what we do. Ashton on 42 points, not bad. 24 goals in 79 games. So a little bit less than last year, but still 24 goals from a third-line/second line center. I'll take it. Drew at the Laurier, not bad actually. 22 points, plus 6 as a random depth forward/fourth line guy. And then Russell, when he played, 13 points in 62 games, minus 8. So maybe it was good that I scratched him in the end. But he will maybe get some playoff games, and depending if somebody else is underperforming. Left wing side of things, Crane on 85 points and 36 goals. Good year for Crane. He continues to produce. We had Ragnarsson on 66 points. So yeah, Ragnarsson, since getting moved to that top line, did a lot better. He was only on 2 goals in 20 games. So in his last 62 games, I guess technically he scored 15 goals. So he's not a huge goal scorer, but still solid production. A little bit of a drop off from last year and the year before, but I still do like this guy quite a bit. And he's on a nice little contract, I think, as well. Kazanov, 48 points. Good year for Kazanov. Mishenko on 47 points. Those two did really well on the third line this year. They're starting to take that next step. Nielsen on 20 points and 6 goals. Not bad for a rookie season. And then Savage with 4 points in 26 games, plus 4. All right. From a defensive standpoint, from a right-wing perspective, Layman on 20 goals and 69 points. How did he do with us? 24 points in 20 games. So I definitely think that was a smart trade to make. Sucked moving on from Bigris, but he definitely helped us out offensively, and that's why Layman was brought in. Did really, really well as a second liner for us. We'll see if we end up re-signing him this offseason or not, but yeah, I'm excited to see what he could do in the postseason as well, because he was point per game in his only playoff appearance with the Sharks, so hopefully he could do that with us. Dempsey, 29 goals and 42 points. So, yeah, when he has a good playmaker next to him like Lehman, that's very nice for him. Very, very solid. Especially considering last year he only had 12 goals. Like, he had more goals than he had points last season. So, he took a huge step in terms of goal scoring. Hopefully, he has a good playoffs ahead of him as well. Goddard only played 1 game, no points. 3 shots on goal, so he did generate some chances, which is nice. Defensively, 66 points in 71 games for Howden, plus 36. I don't know if it's good enough for him to win a Norris this year because he was injured for 11 games, but still a really good year for Olli Howden at his age. Almost as much points as last year in way less games. Better plus minus, so he hasn't dropped off fully in production yet, but he probably will sometime soon, my guess. But yeah, I still really like Howden. Excited to see he could do this postseason. But yeah, he's maybe going to retire soon. Maybe in the next 2 years. Holmstrom took a huge step up as well. 44 points, 82 games. And he is still an RFA. Kind of wish I would have paid him the big term money at this point. Because 44 points is really solid. Schaefer had 43 points as well. So, a couple of good players up there. Carlton jumped to 30 points. So, Carlton found his offensive game in the second half too. Zhang on 22 points, pretty solid. Obviously, he's currently injured, which sucks. And then Lindsay on 8 points, plus 7. Not bad at all for the youngster. And then Barker on 3 points in 11 games. So, really like the depth score on our defensive side of things as well. And then from a goaltending perspective, Nicholas had a 900 save percentage. Did go 34, 16, and 3 with 5 shutouts and 2.76, so he improved. And yeah, Komatov was really, really good when he played. Obviously, Nicholas was injured for a little bit, so Komatov was starting. If Komatov would have played the entire year and posted these type of numbers, maybe he could have won a Vezina this season. But Nicholas came back from injury and took majority of the starts. But both goalies, I'd say, not that bad. Definitely more impressed with Komatov, I'd say. But both goalies probably will get chances to play in the playoffs. We probably will give games, maybe Komatov could start game 1, and then Nicholas could go game 2, really depends. Only 1 assist from Nicholas out of the goalies. Alright. Terms of stats around the league, let's take a look at this. So the best player in terms of point production this season was Guerin, not really surprised, with New York, 111 points. Gargiulo, some new addition to the New York Rangers, 107 points. I don't think he was there last year. Let me double check on that. No, he was there. He was an addition from the Jets. But yeah, very good this season because he's playing on that top line. Burnett up there with 104 points for Florida. And our former guy, Stefan Bjorkstrand on Nashville, 103 points this year. Kind of hurts that Bjorkstrand's doing so good with other teams, but at the same time, we don't really care too much. I do like to see other former players succeed, kind of, but kind of crazy. Quincy Wallace up there as well for former players, and that's that. Best goal scorer this season, goddamn, I barely talk. Guerin still 57 goals. Next closest was Pettinen with 50 in Pittsburgh. And nobody else hit 50 goals this season. But there is 2 former players out there in Jaskalainen in LA and Michelli still in Toronto. Alright. Best defenseman for points this season is going to still be Howden. So Howden actually will win a Norris Trophy, I think, this season because of that. God damn, I am actually shocked. He might win a 6th Norris despite missing 11 games. That's pretty impressive. Like, he has the best plus minus. Brophy was a plus 29, and he's the one that won it last year. So, yeah, Howden is likely going to win a 6th Norris, which is pretty impressive, like I said, for him missing 11 games. So, he's going to be one of the best defensemen all time in terms of Norris trophies, for sure. So, he continues to produce. Hopefully, he comes back again next year, continues to do that. Just awesome to see. Best goalie in terms of wins this season was Legwand in Vegas, as well as Coscaranta in LA. Alright. Best goalie in terms of shutouts this season was Legwand in Vegas. Alright. Best save percentage by a starter, Prindis in Seattle. 922 save percentage. Wasn't he on a team we played against recently? Oh yeah, Toronto. That's right. That's right. And apparently he's injured at the moment. Somers is up there again, but he's in Vancouver now. So former Montreal Canadiens goalie that knocked us out last year is in Vancouver. Interesting. Best goals against average by a starter is going to be Prindis with a 2.5. So, oh, damn, Teufel's up there too. I'm kind of surprised that Teufel's been as good as he has been. Kind of wish we would have signed that guy back in the day, but we didn't. Any goalie goals this season? No. Most assists? 5 from Dmitry Zhikov. Alright, best rookie this season is going to be Svatos in Vancouver, followed by Suhonen in Anaheim. Okay. Alright, so the question is, who are we playing in the first round of the playoffs, and are we going to get cheesed considering we went into the playoffs on a 10-game winning streak? The answer will be the New York Rangers. That makes me feel not good whatsoever. If it was a different team, I'd feel okay, but the Rangers had a mid-season, but we know they're a good team. Guerin was the best point getter during the season, and there was that other guy that they brought in. They went 44, 30, and 8 during the season, but they were a pretty damn good offensive team. They were 8th in goals for per game, 21st in goals against, so pretty bad defensively. 2nd on the power play at 22%, and they were 25th on the penalty kill. So, yeah, they're a very good offensive team for their ranking, and I am thinking right now that we're going to get completely cheesed in the first round when we don't deserve it. But I could be wrong. I just don't feel safe with this, though. Because we have played the Rangers before in the playoffs, and they definitely can score goals. They definitely can, but not the team I really was hoping to face in the first round. Another Battle of New York. This is the team. Yeah, that team looks better than they should have probably simulated to. Oh, man. Yeah, so yeah, Guerin's the one to watch out for, as you guys know by now. 1,409 points in 1,139 career games. This guy is absolutely crazy. One of the best players of all time at this point. He's been getting 50-goal seasons almost every year of his career. And in playoffs, he's got 130 points in 116 games. I'm pretty sure he already has a Stanley Cup. But yeah, this guy can just do everything for his team and willpower them. He was drafted quite a while ago at this point. But my God. He's only signed for 2 more seasons after this. So if he becomes a free agent and we have the money, maybe we'll try and just bring him in or something like that. But this guy's got a lot of awards in his cabinet. He will win more this season as well. So gotta watch out for Jason Guerin. He's playing next to Julius Gargiulio, who we saw they just brought in last season, but he's really good. And Quincy Wallace, our former guy, has been really good since playing with Guerin. That's a benefit for him. When he was with us, 25 points, but a few years later, he was up to over 100 points a season. So, got to watch out for Quincy as well. Second line, Elliot Copeland. They also have Brad Anderson and Jay Barnes. Not bad. Third line, Nicholas Bergfors, not the guy that used to play for the Devils and the Thrashers and the Panthers and the Preds. I have to say them all. They also have Akeem Kopitz. They also have Vyacheslav Kagorodov. And a fourth line of Raimo Hutala, Nikita Safronov, and Jason Wiseman. So, their depth on that bottom 6 is okay. It's not the craziest. Definitely very top 6 heavy, though, I would say. And yeah, Brad Anderson, I remember this guy was just making the NHL a few years ago. He's starting to get better, too. He is an elite grinder, I think, right? Yeah. From a defensive standpoint, they have Mika Nokalainen, they have Matt Schroeder, second pairing Frederick Wheel and Emmanuel Marleau, and a top 6 of Damian McIntyre. Why do I recognize that name? Maybe from Chicago. And then Mike Ilyanuk. So their defensive core is definitely a weak point. I could definitely see why they're more of an offensive team, but that's definitely a defensive core that smells like cheese. Goaltending, they do have Tero Tulola. He's a good goaltender. He's been there, I think, his entire career. Yeah, he has. He's had a really good season a few years ago, but his last 2 years, save percentage has not been the best, but he has been an okay playoff goalie, so got to watch out for him. And our backup is Andrei Frolov, who is still there as well. From a scratch perspective, they have Dennis Lukowicz. I feel like I've seen him somewhere too. Maybe he was a free agent or something like that. Vyacheslav Plekhanov and Noel Sparks. So 3 depth defensemen. Yeah, so the main thing we got to do to win the series is just basically contain our top line, I'd say. And we have a chance to win. But if they're getting goals from guys that are not Guerin and all that, we're going to have a really tough time too, because that just shows that their depth will randomly show up against a team that they shouldn't be. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough matchup, I feel like, still. Even though we were way better than them during the season, the fact that we won every game going into the playoffs on the last 10 games, the fact we won the President's Trophy, I just do not feel safe whatsoever. Let's quickly go back to some games during the season just as well and see how we did against them during the regular season. Likely we won every single meeting, but let's double check. So our first meeting against them, we won 3-0 early. All right. On the road in Madison Square Garden. Our second game against them, try to see when that was. We won 5-3. Actually, it was 3-0 again. So back-to-back shutouts against them technically. Then we won 5-3. And any other meetings against them? Yep, 3-0 win there. We shut them out 3 times this season. Yeah, we're definitely getting completely outplayed by them this season for sure in the playoffs. I bet you. Because I don't think I've ever seen us shut out 3 teams during the season and then go up against them in the playoffs. Like, which goalie was it that shut them out? Like, if we go to Komatov's stats, was it Komatov that beat them? Like, goddamn. Like, both these goalies aren't going to do good against him just because we destroyed them. But let's take a look. So, yeah, basically, Komatov had one of the 3 shutouts, a .948 save percentage, and a 1.5 goals against average. So, he was fantastic when he played against the Rangers. And an Esteban Nicholas, when he played against the Rangers, I don't want to go game logs, I want to go split stats. Let's see how good he was. Maybe that will make our decision on who we start, actually, for that matchup. He had 2 shutouts in 2 games. Didn't allow a single goal in 120 minutes. So, who would you guys start for that matchup against the Rangers? Nicholas, who had really good games against the Rangers, or Komatov, who had technically the better season stats in total? And would you make any line adjustments to try and improve this team? Or no? I didn't want to press that. I do also want to take a look at a couple other things before we wrap up this episode. I don't want it to be super long, but I do want to see how, I guess, technically Buffalo missed the playoffs, so Tatar didn't make it. Cialfito didn't make the playoffs on Washington. Solovyov didn't make the playoffs in San Jose, either did Bigris, but I do want to go to some of their stat lines from their first seasons on their other teams. So let's start with Cialfito in Washington. How was his year? He was playing on the top line with DeAndre Harris. 61 points this year, minus 11. Not bad, but obviously he's getting paid a shit ton of money, so they probably hope for a little bit more out of him going forward, but shout out to Cialfito. Let's go to San Jose next, I guess, since they're close by. Let's see, Bigris. How did you do after you got dealt there? 13 points in 20 games, that's not bad, but you could definitely see why I traded for Lehman, because Lehman was definitely much better of an addition to us than anticipated. So there we go. And then if we go to the goaltenders, Solovyov in his first season with the Sharks finished with a .905 save percentage, 69 games played. Damn, he played a lot of games, but a losing record. I'd say he was okay there for all things considered, but is he going to end up retiring at the end of the season? I wonder. And then the last one I want to take a look on is Tatar, how he did in Buffalo. But none of our former guys that we got rid of this offseason went to a playoff team. So Tatar's playing top pairing in Buffalo, and he played 82 games, had 53 points. So he had his best career year offensively with the Buffalo Sabres. But his plus-minus obviously fell off a little bit, and they will not be making it to the postseason. We do have multiple first-round picks this year. I wanted to actually also take a look at where we're drafting potentially. So we have Calgary, and that's it. Did Calgary make the playoffs? They did end up making the playoffs. I thought they weren't going to make the playoffs, so never mind. We don't have a lottery pick this year, but that's okay. We do have multiple first in case we need them, but anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to the first round of the playoffs against Jason Guerin in the New York Rangers as we look to basically take that cheese, throw it in the compost because it's gone moldy, and hopefully we can find ourselves to that second round and beyond again. Like I said, this team needs to find a way to win the Cup this year because with Makinen being a pending free agent, Giordano being a pending free agent, there's no guarantees we're going to be able to bring everybody back again. So we'll be interesting to see what this team does this postseason, but hopefully it doesn't result in a first round exit because of a President's Trophy. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.